So welcome to April version of Wednesdays with MDriven 2026. So as you all know, we try to add new stuff as we need it and work with it, and as we get input. And there are two things that are new this month that I thought I should describe so that they don't go unnoticed. And they are both correlated to the turnkey strategy, the web development, sort of. And one of the first thing that I thought, yeah, I'll just pick one of them. The first thing is the ability to patch the model to work faster, and that one is actually also available for the VPF prototyper. But what this means is whenever you do your development using live edit, and for this to have any meaning, it's actually important that you use the live edit towards an MDriven server. And for that to work, we need to first set up an MDriven server, have an MDriven server. You probably already have one somewhere in the network, but if you don't, you can easily download this server pair here and add a name here and refresh the install here, and then simply start those servers. So this is the MDriven server and this is the turnkey server for that. I'm not going to use that turnkey server because I use the live edit instead, so I'm going to close that one. But we have this one at port 5000, and then I can then I also have to use that that server in towards my model. So I'm going to push this button, and then I can check the status on that. There's some stuff already. Gonna ignore that. I'm gonna upload the model and see what it does, and then it evolved away all the old stuff and put in the new stuff. So now that is running and it has been uploaded. The model has been uploaded to the MDriven server once. So that's important that there is an MDriven server once we choose this one. Use the MDriven server and not the XML file. We can see that this is the one we're going to use. And then I can start or restart the server for turnkey core that we're going to use for live edit. And we can see in its console that it's hooked up to the MDriven server that we chose. So that is good. And this, of course, alludes to the fact that you can have as many turnkey servers as you want, front-ending a single MDriven server. That's totally okay. I just closed the other one to deconfuse us. So, and what's new with this functionality is that whenever you have uploaded a new model, it takes a little while for it to set everything up. And if we do changes to, so what live edit is that it checks the view model that you work on, and it sends just that view model up to the server. So what's happening here is that just this view model is sent to the turnkey server and that applies it locally. So we like that thing about live edit, that you can sort of work with the things without getting stopped, and that you just can continue and it works with data, etc. So that's very good. But what has been a problematic until now, and that's what this new patch functionality is all about. What has been problematic is that if we add something completely new that isn't in the model from before, let's add a generic column here, and you're gonna set its expression to something that doesn't exist. So self something new, and of course that doesn't exist, so it asks me, do I want to add that as an attribute? And I say yes, and then I say that this is actually a derived thing. We can leave it as persistent for now. So let's say that this totally new thing is getting added. And what does this mean? Well, it means that the model is fine because in this context the totally new thing exists, right? Something new, and that's okay. And also here there are really no big conflicts or issues. It's only that it's placed wrong, so I'm going to move it. But even if everything is error-free here, this server that runs it doesn't know about this one, because that was part of the model, and that's not part of the view model per se. We send it up, but it doesn't know how to render it because it has no clue about what self something new is. And that sort of, the only way to get around that was to head over here and to upload the model once more. And that's totally doable. It's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that's the only way to actually get the database evolved to have this new attribute. But still, it would be nice if I could continue to design this to place it somewhere, but it doesn't even show up because it doesn't know what to do with it. And that's why this red button up here is highlighted now, because the model has changed locally, so it has a different checksum locally than what it has on the MDriven server. So the idea is that patch model just sends that piece of information up to the turnkey server, not the MDriven server. So why is that any good? Because if it isn't on the MDriven server, I can't really use this attribute because there's no backing in the database for this attribute. Well, there are a couple of good things. Number one, I can design it. I can move it around and do the changes to it. So that's good. I can also actually write to it. But as you notice, it doesn't register as a persistent attribute normally do. And why is that? Well, everything we send up like this, patching the turnkey server, would actually break things if it were persistent, because the database doesn't know about it yet, or the MDriven server doesn't know about it yet, and so doesn't the database. So this is good because what we do when we patch is that we say that these things are gonna come at some point, but for now treat them as transient. So they are marked as transient at the turnkey server until they are there for real. And that actually is quite good, because maybe I didn't want, we can say that I now change my mind that this something new should be a derived thing. And then I would head over here and say that this is actually attribute mode derived. And then I say that the derivation OCL should be self, and we can take something that we have sum string, and we can append something just to prove a point. Proved point, and we apply that, and that means that we have yet another change to the local model that even more isn't available at the MDriven server, but we can still patch this change that we did. What happens is that it turns into read-only because this was a derived, so you can't really change it, and it also derives things, so it's fully functional. If I change this one, this will be updated with a proof point behind. So this will be a much quicker turnaround to change derives at least, and to add the knowledge about new persistent things, even if we can't keep its data yet. And what's even more important, I think, is that state machines is something that we always, or one always just need to tweak one little more thing at to make them good. And that really is cumbersome when you need to iterate over and over and over with uploading the model. So this can also support state machines. So we're going to add a state machine to this, and I'm going to add some states and some transitions. And let's do these in a loop so I get back here. And then I'm going to say that this one has a trigger. Then I'm going to be a new trigger, trigger 1. And I can say that this also is using trigger 1. I'm not going to complicate it in this example, just to avoid getting bogged down by deep thinking, because it's too late night.
Would it advance one state each time it triggers, or would it cascade directly to state 4?
No, it will only do one at a time. So
Yeah.
each call to the trigger will do one job. Okay. And I can right click this trigger and say that it would be convenient for me to have a class action to call that trigger. So that's a right click there. And of course, this means that class action is discovered and put on here, but that doesn't show here because the turnkey server doesn't know about this. Usually I need to upload a model to get actions going. But we're going to patch. And yeah, it didn't show up. So I'm gonna see if oops, where's my menus? Oh, the menus went as well. That's an old bug that is actually supposedly fixed. Dun. Did I forgot to? No. Okay. So that's maybe the main purpose of these meetings, me finding bugs. See. So what I'm going to do now is actually upload this. At least we will be able to so we can see that it added extended the database with a few things, and then I don't know what happened with this one. Let me restart it. Let's get going. Yeah. So this is annoying. I'm just gonna do turn this into a placing container because it's easier to see what it does then. And gonna use this option to child items to columnar layout to get more ordered and directly without a lot of manual work. I'm gonna add in the state column here, and of course, yes, so this wasn't defaulted to any state, so it's initiated wrong. Maybe it's better if I go to and yeah, so I guess this is a common issue, so maybe I should just explain why old items with the new state machine will fail, because their default DB value wasn't set to this any of the valid states. So then the new once we introduce the new state column, it's blank, and that's not good. It should be one of the valid states as a default DB value. But then, of course, and this has already been created, so it's too late for me now. And then I usually tend to recreate it by renaming it and sending it up again. Yes, question.
Now it's me who wants to say how I usually do it. So I usually, I never remove a state and never. I just add, and the old state I put on the side, and then I make one trigger into the correct state again. That way I can just migrate it very easily by moving the state into the correct one.
Oh, I don't understand. So if it's in an illegal state, it's an empty.
Empty, I don't know, but if you have a state
Yeah,
that then you never don't like just rename a state name.
you keep the old one.
Well,
So
you can rename it, but then you create a new one so that you can put that like on the side, and then one trigger to go into where you want it to be.
yeah,
That way you have a nice migration path.
yeah, you should be wary of your data so that you don't end up in illegal state. And of course, if you are, there are always ways to get back. You don't have to do it the way I did it now. It's just the way that I found a convenient way. So what happened was that at the first evolve, I actually dropped the state column and instead injected the state X column. And on that second evolve, when I renamed it back, it does the reverse. So I have the state column again. And that means that, and since I set the default DB value, I now have state 1 in it. And I can do trigger to jump. Oh, sorry. between these states, so they will go in a loop. Good. But what I wanted to show is that we now can do changes to this state machine without needing to upload. And this upload, it goes pretty fast and the server restarts pretty fast, but as your model grows, it can still be annoying to wait any extra time. So let's add a state 5 and have now we need to be where we can't have 2. So I'm going to do it like that and say that we have a trigger here. And having done that, I can patch the model and triggering from 4, 1, 2, 5. So that's good. I can do any type of change that I want on the state machine without needing to reload everything. And that's awesome. I can also add actions. So if I add a state 6 like this and say that that is actually another trigger, another trigger, and trigger 2, and say that that also has a class action for trigger, and patch that model. Trigger. Now I can also, now it pops up a new action. So there's lots of things I can do without uploading the model, and all the derivations and method bodies and state machines and they don't suffer at all from only being on the turnkey server. But of course, anything persistent suffer a bit because it isn't actually saved. It's just allowed as transient. Good. And I also said that this is one of the things that also work with the BPF prototyper, that you put this in running it towards the MDriven server, and then you start the system, and you probably should have started this prototyper before, because you get this warning that it already has. Will that work? It's a lot of things here. So I can trigger this, and if I then do a change from state 6 to state 7 by using trigger 2 and head over here and do a model refresh, and then it asks me, you're about, I had some change, I'm going to change that, and then it asks me, your system has patchable changes that we can run without updating your database. So that's the question. Why the error here is that why I started it with a model that wasn't the same as the MDriven server, and then we get that effect. But I'm gonna ignore that. Want to try to patch? Yes, please. So now we're on state 1 here. I'm gonna check the state machine. We're gonna go to 2, 5, and then we're gonna switch to trigger 2 to get to 6, and then if everything works, we are able to go to number 7. Yay. But then I forgot to add anything from 7, so then we're stuck. We don't have anything we can do here. And then it's good I have the patch, because I can just say that should go back. We have trigger 1 to stay free. Don't want to save, but I want to patch. Why I don't want to save is that because this doesn't have the same model as the server. Trigger 2, 7, and then back to number 3. Yes, good. That was that thing which we call patch model. And the main benefit is tighter development loop, less waiting. The other thing that I thought we should see is now this one has lost the main menu, so I'm a bit disturbed by that. And that's the bug that I said that I'm aware of in a bit. I thought it was fixed, but apparently not. So I'm going to upload the model just to make sure that I'm not in this patch mode, but have the correct system to look at. So this new thing we should look at is has to do with styles. And I always forget that name. Responsiveness on styles. Basically media queries on style sheets. And media queries are used for to have different styles when the screen has different size. So how we can look at that is if we were to add like we can add a row to this and put that on top here. Yeah, that's a row over there. We're gonna put it over here actually. So we have it, and then we put a some kind of label here, and say that we can show some data here. Let's take the something new attribute that we added. And of course, we might want to have a style on that because that's going to act as our header. I'm going to remove the column name. And to do that, we first need to define the style. We're going to create the style, and that style is actually addressing the component content, I think. So the component content, and I want to give it a special color, a green color, and I want to have the stroke in that color, and yeah, maybe, so I have to remember, I'm going to add a font. Make it a little bigger. So that's the new style 1 when it matches component content. And then we can just say that this should use new style 1. So then it's bigger and green, and is it the times? Not sure if it's the times. Yeah. And then one wonders, yeah, okay, so yeah, I'm a bit stumped by. Let's show what happens if we do a border on this one. We can see that it pops up fields here, and that's for the responsive thing. We're gonna can say that this has a border radius of 5, and the stroke color should be green. So what we probably should see over here, if we turn off edit, we don't. So the stroke, okay, the component content might not be very interested in showing the border. It's the component itself that has the border. We set the stroke color on that one. Okay, and now what we can do now with the media queries is to say that there's a factor, a scaling factor, when the screen is small, when it's medium, and when it's large. So let's say if it's small, we have 1 in scaling factor, and if it's medium, we have 2 in scaling factor, and if it's large, we have 4 in scaling factor. That means that the width of the border when the screen is large will be 4 times 2. And when it's medium, 2 times 2. And when it's small, it will be the one we decide. Like that. But I was a bit stumped why we didn't get any boxes for the font. Should be boxes here for the font size. Oh, yeah, should be. Colors and font sizes, animation. Why is that? Anyway, this is yeah, maybe I need to say that it should use the font. I only define the font. I didn't actually say that it should use it. Now I can say that and for fonts, scaling factors aren't really working. We can't say 2 times bigger because that's it doesn't work like that for fonts. So we get to say the real pixel values that we want for the fonts for these different. And if we leave it blank, it will be the define on 40. But let's say that on the small screen I want 20 height and then 30 height and then 50 height on a large screen. That would give me a rather large font on mobile, but that's nothing when it comes to medium, which is like iPad and thing. And then when it comes to desktop, we have that. Yeah, it was annoyingly big here. Maybe yes. Well. And of course, these things smaller. Yeah.
Does it set it to 12 or does it add 12?
Yeah, it should
It says
actually.
font add pixels, it says.
Ah, okay. Good call. That might. So if this one was like, let's say that it's 10 originally, and then we just add 0. Oops, where did I go? Yeah, you're right, it adds. So, yeah, okay. And also when it comes to the other type of styling that we offer, the theme styling, that we can get a lot of measures on different things that control the default layout. It has also been given specific fields for small, medium, and large. So let's see if we take something that I know what it is on top of my head. So the data table border height, we might, it's this one. So if we say like 10, 20, and 40, we have small on mobile and medium, yeah, it's a little bit bigger, and then it's bigger still on desktop. And of course, since this adheres to margins and things as well, and padding, one can really go bananas to set the different yeah, and also min and max sizes. Soon as there is a value, I can do the scaling factor to that value. So and of course I've always been a bit intimidated by the media queries, because it has felt like people just took their original design, the style sheet, and copied it and pasted it under a media query and then changed a few things. And I wanted to avoid that, not to have everything explode in the burden of maintenance. So that's why it's done like this, that it's quite a reduced set of changes that are introduced. But at least, of course, there's a limitation. You can't have a margin that sort of scales differently on sizes. So margin top should grow a lot on mobile, but less on desktop. But bottom should grow equally. So all of those degrees of freedom, which I consider a bit of buggish, are not supported with this strategy. But I think it's for a good thing. Thoughts on this? Lars, you have waited for this. Is it more or less like you expected it, or does it lack strength?
Mm. So well, you said that here I can see data table header height. There you have like 10 pixels, 20 and 40. But then you had like different for we had like 1, 2, and 4. I guess I've just completely missed how the different things.
These are the constants that are in the standard CSS sheet, and those constants can now have, they could before only have one value, but now they can have values for each media query hit rate. So that's
great.
one thing. And if you were to leave it any one of them blank, it will default back to the original. So you don't have to fill in all of them. So the original, at least I thought it would. It's gonna leave it, it's gonna follow. Yeah, this might follow the one before.
The rule is probably that if it's bigger than the medium size, it will be medium.
Yeah, it will hit that one. Correct. So, but then the styles, those are the name styles that we can use to pick a specific thing out. So if I were to take this new style one and say that I'm gonna apply that to this one as well. No, I'm gonna turn on edit first so I can actually select it, and then pick style for this one to be new style one and use it. That one would look like that, and also follow the media query, small, medium, and
large. So does that mean that you can like double apply sizes for like the header height, but the header height maybe not be controllable by the other one?
Yeah, the header height is hard to reach by that style, but if you say for a specific cell, you might want to apply a certain style, and of course they will always, since there are cascading style sheets, they will be applied after one another, and first is the constants, and then the styles comes above that and overrides any things that, so they don't get added, but they get overridden. And of course, if we were to say min width on something, let's say that there's a min width on style one. Actually, a min height, but yeah, maybe it's more of a max height that actually is easy to see. Let's say that can only be allowed to be yeah, max height. It can only be allowed to be no, I'm gonna do width. Max width, only 300 pixels width, and that will have the effect that this one shrinks and isn't because now we're on the content, so the content can only be 300. So that's the way to control this one, right? If we were to remove this,
which one are we looking
at? I'm looking at this one, but maybe that I'm gonna do it on the content too, on the whole component. The max width is allowed to be 300. So this box can only be 300, and that means that this one sticks out. too bad. But then we might want to allow something else on mobile. So on mobile it should be only be 2. Oh yes, this is the scaling factor. So that's 1, and then it's 2, and then it's 3. And that would mean that when we scale down, it can only be 300, but as we scale up, it can be bigger. It can be that long, which would be 300 times 3, 900. And since these things, one important aspect is that we can apply this also to placing containers. And then we can have max width and things on placing containers, and that in turn affects when wrapping starts and stops. So you can really get yourself entangled into some serious trouble.
Yeah, that's the problem. And I'm not saying that this is worse or better than any other designer or system or anything. Probably slightly better, because it's at least a UI where you can't just type anything. But why does it have to be this difficult? Couldn't it be easy? I mean, who
Yeah,
wants
that
difficult?
would be good. We need to think about how to, because easy is often, as I see it, a reduction of the degrees of freedom, and removing the degrees of freedom that doesn't actually help you. And so you're free to jump off a cliff, but it won't help you. So you shouldn't. So we could remove that degree of freedom, probably, unless you're a base jumper or something. Then you're gonna miss it. Mm. Yeah, but those are 2 new things in the world of MDriven that you can try out.
In other news, just I guess Stephanie can tell us what's in other news, or Charles.
Well, Steph is muted.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
What news do I have? Maybe just to give you an update on what's going on with us at MDriven. We are making some changes, and I think you've noticed some tweaks on our website. So, yeah, we're just planning some very interesting stuff for you guys coming soon, especially on our website. Something to get you all more interested, let's say. Something that will keep you engaged and visiting often. So stay tuned. I think I'll put it that way.
Very good.
What? But you have to at least give it something.
A hint?
One of the cool things
hint?
is a very nice deployment system where you can easily spin up models, and you can deploy easier your tests. And then that Charles and Edgar has been working on for quite some time now, and it's getting ready to be rolled out. And I think having that there, that will also be potentially a template for others, for if you want to do deployment. But it could also be just a very easy way to spin up a demo environment for yourself. So if you want to try something out, you just spin up a demo, and then you use the designer towards that one. Then you don't have to do anything, but you can still access it over the internet. Now Hans has been running completely local, but you could say that this gives you an opportunity to just spin up a publicly available MDriven and turnkey server pair, so that you can run online. And that would be just 1 or 2 clicks, and it's up and running. So there should again be a reason to log on to our main website, because it's really not now, but this will, and I think that's what Stephanie is saying when she says,
You gave away
excited to
everything.
come to our website.
You're
Yeah.
very excited. It's all right. We'll forgive you.
Yes, and I am very much looking forward to that, to have that ability, because it's a very even if you run the Dockers totally locally, it's a very nice way to have your machine still clean. When you add new stuff all the time, it's easy to just wipe old stuff that you don't want any longer and remove it. And also, I still find that the MDriven strategy is a very, very good way to think about complex problem and information need. And it's fascinating that as soon as you do UI for your information, you immediately discover what's weak with the model and what needs to be added to the model to be more complete. And I'm fascinated on other developing strategies that only turn these things around in their head and then type code or type prompts, and how they integrate the complete complexity and remember it over time. It must be tiresome. And what we want to help with MDriven is a way to unload your memory and ease your cognitive burden when it comes to system development. And I think the AIs will eventually thank us as well, because when a guy doing development for a semi-large system again submits the whole thing to change a few things, the AI will get bored eventually, I'm sure. So once we have AGI, it will quit.
A bored AI. I thought they were only, my AI is mostly bragging about itself. So, but maybe they will be even annoyed in the future.
Yeah.
Because it's actually saying, as a very, what was it? As a very competent software developer, I propose this. Really?
So it was given that in the prompt. Be spectacular.
Yeah, no, I have actually a system prompt that says don't
brag.
But that says don't be nice to me. I haven't said don't be nice to you. Yeah, that's right. That's the problem, of course.
You did that to yourself then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So
Yes.
thank you very much for showing up this month, and hopefully we will come back with some fixed bugs and new things next month. Thank you.
It's Visual Studio 2026 is a new thing, right?
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's not super new now. We're doing that since forever.
Well, I can mention in passing that I've moved my inside server to Visual Studio 2026 and .NET 10, and it runs fine with MDriven.
Good.
All right. Well, maybe I'm just a slow one here. It's great.
Yeah. See you.
All right. Yes. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.